Kris Andreychuck, and I'm a candidate in Ward 7. There's a couple of reasons. I think mainly it's my home. We've lived in the area for more than 10 years. So my partner Catherine and I, we're raising our growing family. We've got a 2-year-old. Catherine's expecting actually right after the election. So this is really our home. And
congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's busy times in our house. And I've also worked in the area for 10 years. So doing everything from street outreach to working frontline with the police. And now I've taken a month and a half unpaid leave from work, but I manage crime prevention teams throughout the city. So a partnership that brings together a youth worker, a social worker, and a police officer. So I live in the area, it's my home. I've worked in the area. I know a lot of the things that we're up against, but anyone can tell you what the issues are. I actually have a really good idea around some of the solutions that we can have to tackle those concerns. Yeah, there's a couple major things. So the first one is really about building sustainable communities. And I can explain that a little bit. So a sustainable community is a community where there's local amenities that you can have access to. In Highlands, for instance, there's an old grocery store that used to really serve as a beacon in that neighborhood. And that's been since closed down for a long time. So unfortunately, it's just a derelict blight in the neighborhood. And that's a community that really wants a grocery store. Sustainable communities also means around safety and the crime level. So our area, Ward 7, we've actually had the second highest crime rate in the city for over 10 years, consistently. And that's something that I take very seriously and I want to tackle, and I've got some concrete ideas of how we're going to do that. Secondly, I'm going to focus on small business growth. It means a lot to me, means a lot to Ward 7. And if you look down the avenue, there's just far too many businesses that are boarded up. So I really want that to be a place where local business thrives. We have so many amazing ones already. I really want to encourage more small business growth. But the ribbon that flows through my entire campaign is really about representation. So I announced early. I was the earliest candidate to announce in Ward 7. So I've knocked on thousands of doors since then. And lots of stuff comes up. Bike lanes, infill. But the thing that is most consistent at the doorstep is this notion of representation and the feeling that people in the community don't have a seat at the table. So I want to make sure that the people who live in the community feel that they're represented on city council and that their voice is there and that it matters. Yeah, well, I'm known as a crime fighter, I guess, in the city. It's what I've been doing. No Batman, of course, but it's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. Crime is something that I take very seriously, and that's something that we all benefit from. In fact, I joke sometimes that maybe safety is something that we can all be NIMBYist about. Nobody wants crime in their backyard. Everyone, we have some basic wants. We want communities where our children are safe, and we're looking out for one another. The concrete ideas are 3 that I want to tackle this one with. The first one is looking at problem properties in the area and looking at them very uniquely. Just yesterday, we had another unfortunate homicide in the community, and it was attributed to, or could be attributed back to, a really serious problem property in the community. And I've got a very specific plan about how we can look at this differently. It's up on my website, there's a blog around it. The second thing that I would like to focus on is really enhancing the notion or our history of community policing. And Edmonton has a really proud history of community policing, and I want to build upon that though. And the third and final one, and you'll forgive me, I'm a social worker, so I'll give the profession a bit of a plug, but it's just recognizing that not all crime issues belong to the police. That safety is really a community problem, and the police are a very important partner in this, but there is roles for partnerships. There's roles for partnerships with the community, other disciplines like psychiatric nurses, social work supports, so we can just not deal with the symptoms, we can actually get at some of the root causes. Well, there's 2 major things there. So the first one is that I live in the community, and I have lived in the community consistently for the past 10 years. That's really important to me, and that's really important to a lot of my neighbors. You have to live in an area to effectively represent it. So that's the first one. The second one is I work for the city. So I know the internal workings of the corporation. That sets me apart from everybody. I'm the only one who has worked within administration, within the corporation itself. So I think I have a perspective of leadership, a really strong knowledge of that community all the way from the river all the way down to 144th Ave. But I bring a deep knowledge of how the city ticks, how it works, frankly, what's working well, what could be better, and that's what I hope to bring to the council table. Absolutely. I've lived in the community for a long time. I've seen how these elections play out. I think that we're offering something really unique. We're doing more than just offering the status quo, and I think that's something that people are fed up with. People want change. You can really feel it on the doorstep. But I'm doing more than just complaining and doing more than just wishing for a better yesterday. We're offering a really novel approach. We're offering big ideas. We're offering a trajectory for our neighborhood. It's an area of Edmonton that I'm fiercely proud of, and just yesterday, I was endorsed by Dave Colburn. So Dave Colburn was the front runner last time in the municipal election in Ward 7. So I've now been endorsed by Dave Colburn. I've been endorsed by Scott McKeen, Councillor Scott McKeen, who ran the election before. So this is really shaping up to be a two-person race. I encourage people to check out my website. That's my cell phone number up there, so you can give me a direct call, and I'd love to connect with you. And thank you for the opportunity to do the interview.